L brands. I know something you guys may not use a lot or utilize to its fullest.
Why would you assume that?
Just an assumption, but this is a company that you have to keep in mind has Victoria's Secret, Bath & Body Works, Pink. They have a bunch of different brands, so just keep that in mind because it's not just Victoria's Secret. I think that's what everyone thinks of when they
Is it Pink the singer? No, I'm just joking.
That was such a dad joke. But this is a stock that's trading around $22 right now. They're on their 5-year lows. They are down 13% for the year. So Landon, my question to you is, I know you're comparing Victoria's Secret and Bath & Body Works, a company that has candles near and dear to my heart. What are you seeing on social media?
Yeah, it's tough. This L Brands is sort of two companies rolled into one. And I think they're targeting similar demographics, but it's two different stories as far as our data goes. Victoria's Secret, as you can see in the red here, has been struggling ever since around 2015 or 16. They started really dropping off that purchase intent data. People are talking about going to Victoria's Secret much less than they used to, whereas Bath & Body Works has been on a steady incline. Right now, I think that Victoria's Secret is about 3/5. It's 60% of the company's revenue, and Bath & Body Works is closing that gap every day. And so Bath & Body Works is kind of the one that, you know, analysts don't really look at as much. They want to see a big turnaround in Victoria's Secret. We're not seeing that, but we are seeing Bath & Body Works doing really well. Overall, the company, we've got purchase intent down about 6% year over year, which I think will come in line with what analysts are expecting as far as revenue goes. Really, I think the problem with Victoria's Secret is they've gotten a little too political. They got involved where they had some, I think it was their CMO made some comments maybe a while ago about trans people and plus size models that didn't go over well. They removed their swimsuits in 2016. They're trying to get more inclusive and all body size friendly, I guess. But they're just now bringing back their swimsuits. I think that was a big plus for them. But when we look at how their swim has done over the last this year, is that they're just starting to bring it back. We're seeing that it's really not getting the reception or the traction that they'd hoped it was. If you look here at this chart, we've got Victoria's Secret swim paired against Target. So Victoria's Secret is in the white, and you can see when they cut it off in 2016, and it basically went to zero, whereas Target started to pick up. People started going there to get their swimsuits. Victoria's Secret brings it back this year, but it's really not hitting the mark. The people are complaining about the lack of sizing options and the high prices. So not a great turnaround for Victoria's Secret so far, but as you mentioned, the stock is off quite a bit.
Yeah, something I also saw a lot was they seem to be behind the trend on a lot of different trends in fashion. I mean, they're just, people are really criticizing them for just being late to the game in a lot of different ways. But if you actually look at their company profile, you reference the way that they're kind of broken down. Victoria's Secret is around 50% of their total revenue, and then Bath & Body Works is 37.6%. So even though Bath & Body Works is significantly less than Victoria's Secret, it could still be a bright spot for this company. And I personally love candles, so.
The one thing I have a question for you, Landon, how much of this is, like, in terms of the decreasing trend that we're seeing in Victoria's Secret on purchase intent is related to kind of mall traffics being down, and that being where primarily Victoria's Secrets are located, at least from what I understand?
I think that's great, but Jenny, correct me if I'm wrong, isn't Bath & Body Works also very mall heavy?
It is, but I was reminding Alex before we started that these are often standalone. I mean, I live in the city, so I'm a little biased, but most of the time when I go to Victoria's Secret or Bath & Body Works, they're standalone stores.
So,
okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so yeah, I think that malls definitely contributing for sure, but you know, if Jenny's right that they both can be standalone, I think that there is a definite trend that we're noticing. Victoria's Secret on the downslide, Bath & Body on the upslide. People are liking candles more than lingerie right now.
So then one follow-up, and Landon, I'll let you chip in on this too, as you maybe see some stuff on Twitter for this, but this may be more of a question for Jenny. How much of this maybe, if it is more of a Victoria's Secret story, as you mentioned, kind of maybe not being ahead of the trends, is maybe related to some of these, you know, smaller brands that are, you know, marketing through social media like Instagram, and you can now directly buy things through Instagram? How much of that really, you know, probably affecting Victoria's Secret as well, as there's so many options now?
I completely think you're right. I think back 20 years ago, Victoria's Secret was the only brand that really put out these products, and now you have companies like American Eagle making Aerie that does that. You've so many competitors. Urban Outfitters has their own lingerie section now, which we talked about yesterday. So there are all these different companies that now can take market share, and I think that's definitely hurting them. But you definitely saw this on social media today. There was a ton of tweets about this company because I think people love to talk about retail. So Our first tweet is from Jeff Mackey, who was actually tweeting back and forth with Andy Swan, who says, L Brands reports tomorrow night. No position though. I wish I were short and I still have time. Having been short Victoria's Secret and done the online legwork, accordingly has convinced my browser I'm absolutely always on the market for a good bralette. So, I love Jeff Mackey because he's always such a great person when it comes to retail, but how do you trade a company like this?
Well, from my perspective, when I look at the chart and look at everything that's going on, I mean, this company is down, what, close to 50%, probably in the high 40%. You have to ask yourself, is it still a company that has the chance to grow or come back or recover? I mean, Jenny, how many places can you buy candles in this world? I mean, are they doing anything special with candles?
So a huge thing they are doing is they're heavily discounting. Whether they're too late to do that or not, I'm not sure, but they did announce that they have really put out discounts, which I think then draws people in. At least I'm a big discount fan. So.
Yeah, Victoria's Secret, Bath and Body Works, I don't have much to add here to this.
A lot of times discounting is not great for the bottom line either. But Landon, I want to kind of get your take on that too. When we're talking about trading a name like L Brands, Kevin mentioned, it's basically been cut in half over the last year. The purchase data is all, maybe looking a little bit sour on an L Brands, but is it in line with what you're seeing in the stock price, or are you guys seeing a divergence somewhere here?
Yeah, so that's a great point. So what we're seeing is that purchase intent for the last 3, 4, 5 years has been on a steady decline, and just this year that decline's starting to slow a little bit. So it's starting to flatten out just a little bit, and with the stock basically cut in half over the last year, we think that it's possible that there could be this isn't terrible type of reaction to the earnings report. Now, we're not saying they're going to blow out numbers, but we think that maybe the bearish side is a little bit overplayed, and maybe the company's due for a little bit of a turnaround. Again, we're not saying the purchase intent's up. It's actually down year over year, but it's just down a little bit compared to previous years where it had been falling tremendously. So you've got Victoria's Secret. I think 2018 they were down 2% revenue-wise. Bath and Body was up 11%. I think eventually you may see Bath & Body take over the majority share of revenue. In that case, that could switch analysts' opinions to maybe being bullish because they've got the brand that's majority of revenue is actually growing, and Victoria's Secret could become the second place one here.
Well, and the only thing is you have to think about Victoria's Secret is such a strong brand. It's hard to see that fully going away. As you mentioned, the stock price has been cut in half so much, but it's also down 4.25% just today going into this announcement. We all know it's difficult to pick a bottom in a stock when you're trying to find where that is, but as Landon's data is showing here and LikeFolio's data, if it is maybe turning around a little bit, it is only a $21 stock, maybe there's opportunity. It just can be difficult, Jenny.
You'd hope so. I mean, this company really does need a turnaround story. But our next tweet is from Suzanne Vincent, who says, all signs are bad for Victoria's Secret. They're dumping most of their sport line in the semi-annual sale. So the semi-annual sale is a big deal for L Brands and Victoria's Secret. But we didn't even touch on the sport line. I mean, you have companies now like Lululemon, you have Old Navy's Athleta. So you have all these different, again, companies that are in sportswear. They're a little late to the game. And so, Landon, my question is, could swimsuits be their revival story here? Because this is still new. And we did talk about swimsuits being a huge reason for their weak spot.
Right. I think they need to do a better job. I like that they brought them back. I think it was a huge mistake to remove swimsuits in 2016. Bringing them back is a step in the right direction. Reception so far has been pretty muted, not real happy. Obviously, we're not fully into swimsuit season yet, but the early data is showing a lackluster support from the market as far as swimsuits go. Step in the right direction, but yeah, with the stock off so much, expectations are so low. I think just kind of a meh quarter, not so bad, could be a good, potential short squeeze or something like that. So officially, LikeFolio is bullish, but very, very cautiously because we're betting on oversold, not growing in strength.